Hello, this is Ms. DB, and in this video I'm going to review what you need to do for the Analyze Your Own Data project. And this project was introduced in, I think it was week 8, so you may have started it already, and that's wonderful. We will be using Excel for the Analyze Your Own Data project. There is, in the student activities, there's a very useful academic enrichment workshop in the student activities course called Graphing Greatness that will help you do this if you're not familiar with Excel. And the academic enrichment workshops are what we work on the first 2 days of the quarter. And you may have even done the Graphing Greatness one already. Many science courses require it. So if you have done that, you're probably familiar with Excel. To get to that workshop, you're going to go to My Courses and then to the Graphing. Here, I'll show you where it's at. Move this over a little bit. I already went to the student activities course. I went to My Courses, student activities. Let me show you where that was. I'll go back to the announcements. So this is what it looks like when you first come into the page. And then in the student toolkit on the side here, you'll see different activities that you can do, different workshops that you can do. And the one that I'm talking about under Academic Enrichment Workshop is called Graphing Greatness. So it's right here. And then you would click on this. And there's all kinds of information here about graphs and really good stuff. The ones that are most important for what we're working with are the Graphing Data by Spreadsheet video, which does a really good job of explaining how to use Excel to make a nice scatter plot and how to use Excel for any type of a graph to change the titles and labels. And then there's an assignment that just has you practice what they're doing in this video. So these were the two parts that I thought, wow, this would really help out in our course. However, all these things are great, and you could do this workshop in order to earn a digital badge, and you can read more about that in the student activities course. Okay, but going back to our class, that is the first assignment here. So you click on this link to open up the directions to this assignment. And I've already opened them up, so here they are. Now some of this you have to do on your own before you use the Excel spreadsheet. You have to gather numerical data to answer your question. So you have to come up with a question that you can gather data for. So here's an example of some questions you might want to try to figure out. Do I tend to read long books or short books? And that would be, you would need to get like 20 books that you have read and count, or not really count, but look at how many pages are in each one. So that would be numerical data that you'd be gathering. What's the average length of songs on my CDs in seconds? So you'd be looking at your CDs and converting the songs from minutes and seconds to just seconds. How many minutes do people spend in the car each day? So that would be one where you'd be asking people questions, and then you'd record that. When you record this, your numerical data needs to be in just one format. So if they give you a time in like 1 hour, 30 minutes, you need to change it to just minutes. Here's one that you would make a scatter plot for. Is a person's running speed related to his or her leg length? So you'd be gathering two pieces of data, running speed and the length of their legs. That would be a scatter plot if you gather two sets of numerical data. Is there a correlation between time of day and how many assignments students at Minnows submit? That would also be numerical data. You'd have the time of day as one of your pieces of data and how many assignments they submit as another one. What is the average gas price at cities across the United States? So that would be one you could research on the internet. Now these are just examples. You can come up with your own question. You don't have to use one of these. You can though, however, if you can't think of anything else, or if you're interested in knowing those. All right, so you're going to get 5 points for this first part, which is planning. So make sure that you answer these questions completely. The first one is choosing your topic. If you're not sure if your topic is a great one, you can email me this part. Number 2, make a hypothesis of what you think is going to happen. And number 3, design your study. How will you gather your data? Explain it here. Is this one that you can research on the internet? Is this one that you have to ask people questions, do a survey? Is this one that you are going to gather some other way by finding information in your home or in another way. Okay, then you get 5 points for gathering and recording the data. For this part, we are going to use Excel. We're going to record your data. Remember that when you put your data in, no words, letters, or labels, just numbers. You do need at least 20 to 30 values. More would be even better, but at least that to get these points. All right, the next part is going to be displaying the data in 2 ways. So we have learned many ways in weeks 7 and 8 about displaying your data. We did bar graphs, circle graphs, line graphs, scatter plots, histograms. We did stem and leaf plots. So you're going to pick at least 2 of those methods to make to display your data. If you gather 2 data sets like the one about the leg length and the speed of the runner, then you'd be making a scatter plot for one of them. There is this link here to let's see if I can find that for you, how to make a chart with words. It tells you with written directions on what you're going to do. So lots and lots of information here at this link, and it'll update. You can pick on the part that you need to learn about. Now let's go back to this. All right, so then you're going to find the statistics. In week 7 and 8, we learned about mean, median, mode. We learned about range. We learned about quartiles. We learned about interquartile range even, minimum, maximum. Standard deviation we did not discuss. Standard deviation is a measure. It's kind of a complicated formula, but Excel can find it very easily for us. It tells us how spread out our data is. And then that's part 4. And then part 5, you're going to analyze your results. So you're going to answer these questions. And one of the questions is, what were the statistics you found for your data? So you might write something like, I found that the mean of my data was this, and that the range was this. And then you have to say, what do they show? Like that might show that, most of the songs you listen to are around 4 minutes long. Or it might show that there's no pattern in how long people's leg lengths are and how fast they are. So you're going to make some conclusions about your data from your graphs and your statistics. So don't just record the facts here. Draw some conclusions, try to figure some things out, analyze it, things like that. And then also explain whether or not your hypothesis is true or false. Did you find what you thought you would find? All right, so I'm going to show you how to find, how to use Excel with just some sample data. Now, if you're using the Minnows Virtual Desktop, you have Excel on your on that desktop. You may also have it on your regular computer. I'm just going to go to a new blank workbook and open it up like this. So I'm pretending I'm starting completely from scratch. Now let's say that my data was basically a simple one, and I did the number of pages in books that I've read. So in my first column, I'm going to put maybe the name of the book. And you can make this column wider by grabbing and just pulling it apart. And then I'm going to say pages in book. And I'll also make that column just a little bit wider. Now you put the names of the books over here, and I'm just going to make these up. Or you could say, you could give these numbers. You could just number the books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the pages in the books, I do read pretty long books. And again, I'm making these up. You're not going to make these up. You're going to actually gather this data. There's a short one. And I would do this I would get this data from at least 20 to 30 books. And let's give this one a name. Okay, let's pretend that I have enough data here then to make my, my next step would be to make a chart. Now, when you're going to make a chart, you're going to select the data by just drawing a box around it. And then, as you can see here, there's some different options up at the top. I'm going to go to Insert, And then I have all these charts here. Now I'm not going to make a scatter plot because this is not two numeric sets of data. So I think that I will make a line graph. Let's see if I can find a line graph. Make this box bigger and get more charts. Oh, that's just more information about that one graph. Insert, charts. It's not letting me pick line graph, so I'll do a bar graph for right now. Okay, so I clicked bar graph, and what it does is on the bottom it has the names of the books, and along the side is the page numbers. Now you can watch the other videos to see how to edit these things. But you can edit that very easily. You can also add labels to the, you can add labels right within there. You can add labels to your axes. That's what I would like to do. So I'm going to change axis title to, whoops, I'm going to delete that, to pages, or pages in book, I'll do. And I can change this title to titles of books. And you can edit things in other ways like that too. So let's say that I'm done with that and I've got that graph done. Now remember, you're going to do two different kinds. So to do another one, and you can do one of these by hand if you want. Like if you want to make a stem and leaf plot or a box and whisker plot, then that would be a good one to do by hand. Let's go to here's a line graph right here. I didn't see it before. Oops. I don't want a spark line. I just want a line graph. Insert. Charts. Oh, here's a line graph right here. I just need a regular line graph. I don't need anything too fancy, so I'll just pick that first one. And there's, and again, you would edit this by changing the title to what you want, and you can move this around and put it in a better spot. Move out of the way. So you want to rearrange it so I can see both of them at the same time. Okay, next thing to do is the statistics. So I'm going to show you how to do some of that. Now for the statistics, we're only doing the stats of this data, not of the names of the books. So let's label my stats over here. So I'm going to find the mean first. I'm going to go to formulas, and then they have all kinds of different formulas already ready to go. So I'm going to go to insert function, and I want the mean. Excel calls the mean the average. So I click on average, and then I click OK. Now I want my data to be from B2 to B7, because that's where I have my numbers, my pages in my book. So I don't want all the way to 9, I just want B7. So I change this to what I want it to be, and I click OK. And that is the mean of the pages of the books that I read. You can use this insert function for lots of different, and here I'm going to select this. This time I'm selecting my data first, and now I'm going to go to insert, oops, I'm going to go to formulas, insert function, and this time I want the median. Now this time I've already selected my data, so let's see. Actually, I'm going to cancel that because I have to put it here first. Formulas, insert function, median. And now I'm going to draw a box around the data this time. You can do it that way too. That shows that I want from B2 to B7, which is where my data is. So there's the median. And you can do this, there's something called a standard deviation, which is, it shows how spread out your data is. If your standard deviation is small, it means that, like, my books were all around the same length. If my standard deviation is large, it means I read books of all kinds of different pages. So let's go to formulas again, insert function. And if you don't see it in this list, you just start typing what you want. Standard deviation. And I'll click go, and it'll search for that for me. And it's this first one, STDEV. So I click OK. And I don't want this number. They have the wrong ones. I want these numbers again. And I click OK. That standard deviation is very big. It means that the pages in my books are very spread out. If it was small, like 5 or 6, then it would be meaning that my data was close together. For range, they don't have range on here, but you can do, I'm going to do max next. We can do max. Here's max right here. And it's this data again. And I can do min, the minimum value. Oops, I need to go over here first. And then min. And again, select the right data. Okay, so then to do range, this one, Excel doesn't have a range. So what we have to do is we go to the box where we want our formula to be, and we type in an equal sign up here. And then we click on max. Whoops, I clicked on minimum first. I click on max minus, type in the minus sign, the minimum. And then you hit enter, and it will subtract for you. Now you don't want to do these by hand. You actually want to do the formulas, because then if I say, oh wait, this is the wrong, I wrote 145 and it was actually 345. And when I hit enter here, everything is going to update, including the formula that I just wrote. It changed my mean, it changed my median, the standard deviation is smaller. Everything got updated when I corrected my data. And I could add data too, and it will update as long as these ranges are within, see now I have B7, so if I add something here, it's not going to include that number. So I would have to update these by dragging or changing that to B8 if I added a data. So let's see, what was the other ones? You have to have at least 5 of these, so obviously I have plenty. Oh, well, let's do quartile 1. Now, quartile 1 is when you arrange your data in order from least to greatest, and then you find the median, and then you find the middle of the first half of the data. So in Excel, they have a formula for that, quartile. Go to quartile, and then it's going to ask us, here's our array we wanted of this data, and I want quartile 1. Okay, so I click quartile 1, and that's quartile 1. And quartile 3, I repeat this, but instead of typing a 1 there, I'll type a 3. So insert function, quartile, and I want the same B2 to B7 that I had before. You'll have more data than that. And this time I want quartile 3. So there's quartile 3. So there's something called inner quartile range, which is very much like range, where I would just subtract quartile 3 minus quartile 1. And you would do that with the equal sign and type in your own formula. So you would do the equal sign, and then you would do the bigger number minus the smaller number. And that is the inner quartile range. And again, all of these statistics will be updated if you change any of your data or if you add any within the range that you told your formulas to compute for. So that's a very easy way to find the statistics in Excel. You can also find it by going to the data page, and then there is a, let's see if I can find it. There's a way to find all of the statistics at once using some tools in Excel. Let's see if I can find it. I'll have to do that in another video because it is getting to be a little bit long here. So if you want to see how to do that, look for another video on adding summary statistics to your data. All right, well, thank you very much, and let me know if you have any questions as you work on your analyze your own data assignment. Thank you.